by highlighting the significance of review of related literature insofar as the research process is concerned. Do note that research is to search again, which connotes that the conduct of a study should be on the basis of what have been known about the topic or the subject of investigation. Therefore, the main intention in the conduct of review of literature is to know what has been done, what has been known, and what has been researched on that particular topic. It is therefore equally important to give an ample amount of time to exhausting efforts in finding related literature. I'd like to point it out, related literature. So what is related literature? So when we say related, it is along the area of interest that you are currently studying. So insofar as review of related literature is concerned, we will be up to finding data and non-data materials. So these are the two classifications of materials in the conduct of review: data and non-data materials. So what is the difference between data and non-data materials? So data materials are those which were sourced from previous studies. So that's data materials. All others will fall under non-data materials. So what may form part of non-data materials? So some sources of non-data materials are books, magazines, newspapers. There are also electronic sources, but you have to be very careful that these materials will present to you concepts, principles, models, and discussions that are not products or results of previous studies. So considering these two materials, the second chapter of the UL prescribed report is prepared in two parts. So chapter 2, under the title Review of Related Literature and Studies, is divided into two sections. So the first section is Conceptual Literature. In some institutions, they refer to it as related literature. Okay? So do not be confused. Okay? Ours is Conceptual Literature. In other institutions, they have it under the side head title Related Literature. And the second part of the UL prescribed report is the research literature part. Okay? In other institutions, they have it under the side head title Related Studies. So these are the two sections. So what do we have under conceptual literature and research literature? I have with me a copy of activity number 8 to guide you in the conceptualization of your chapter 2. So if you will go over the activity sheet, the activity requires you to firstly identify main themes. Okay? The reason behind the identification of main themes is that you will present your literature review, observing the thematic approach. What is meant by thematic approach? So the thematic approach is organizing your literature review following certain subject areas or themes. So the next question would be, what then would be the consideration in identifying the themes? My answer would be for you to review what you have placed in your problem statement. So the problem statement will guide you in what themes may be developed. So technically, we have it on the basis of the sub-problems. So if you have, for example, the following, sub-problems. The proposed study, for example, is financial operation of company XYZ. So sub-problem number 1 would be, what is the status of financial operation of company XYZ in terms of horizontal and vertical analysis? Okay. So that would be for the first theme. So generally, the first theme would be financial operation. So then what do you have under financial operation for discussion under conceptual literature? So you start with the basic definition, meaning, okay, models to understand how to analyze financial operation. Now, as soon as you discuss that, then it will bring to the fore the discussion of the different approaches in analyzing financial operation as horizontal approach and vertical approach. Now, where would you base your discussions from? Okay? The idea behind review of related literature is to exhaust, okay, all efforts, meaning to find all or almost all, okay, references that you can have for basis of your study. So, start with looking for available materials in the library, and if the resources in the library are not enough, then you Google it up and then do other forms of searches of literature. Right? And please be specific as possible in the discussion. Okay? What do I mean by that? Financial operation, for example. The term financial operation is very generic, but the analysis of which, okay, may vary depending on entities. So if your entity is a foundation, then your focus of discussion would be to analyze financial operation as applied to foundations. Again, the term foundation, okay, is universal, meaning we have foundations in US or that are international in scope. They are also local. So the way we do financial operation on a wide scale basis may differ from, okay, doing it in the Philippines or in specific organizations. So you have to include all this part of your discussion. So therefore, for theme number 1, we have financial operation of a foundation. And under that, you have sub-theme on horizontal analysis and vertical analysis, because that's what you have for sub-problem number 1. Then what could be a logical second sub-problem? The second logical sub-problem will be to identify what factors, okay, can be associated with the current status of financial operation. So therefore, the second theme would be factors affecting financial operation of a foundation. And then you will have all the discussions under that. But please be very careful, because you will have the same theme observed in the research literature. So do not be confused. Do not get mixed up. Because some would have part of conceptual literature findings as reflected in previous studies. Again, where do you place your discussions about findings in other studies? In the second part or in the second section under research literature, but following the same theme or thematic areas. Okay? And then after the second section will be what we term as synthesis. Synthesis is a 1 or 2 paragraph summary explaining how significant your reviewed literature, okay, is in relation to your present study. Then you will have to point out what significant contributions the literature have on your study. Alright? Now, let me go back. So, first, in activity number 8 is to identify main themes. The second would be now to work on your materials. So I'd like you to be guided by the following, okay? As this was discussed in the video lecture. So this is the index approach, okay, to doing literature review. And I would like that each one of you will have to come up with individual index card, which will later on be consolidated as a group. Okay? In that way, okay, I will know who have contributed to the literature review, because I will have it on the basis of your individual index card vis-a-vis your draft of chapter 2. Why do I need to do this? Okay? In the past, okay, and even now, no, I have received and is receiving feedback that some members, okay, do not even care to take part. Worse, there's only one member of the group doing everything for chapter 2. Remember, yours is a group activity and it shall be performed by all members of the group. No exemption. No exemption. So, if a member fails to contribute significantly, I'd like to highlight the word significantly, then you will not get a grade for this activity. Okay? I hope that that is clear to everyone. Okay? So, please be guided by this activity. Activity 6, I acknowledge that I already have received, but if you wish to go over again what you have submitted to me, then you may be allowed to submit, okay? Revise if any. Revise chapter 2 if any. But then again, we are not yet done with the finalization of the choices of the topic for some of the groups. Alright? So that would be all. So any questions?